Ambassador Zektar pressed his chitinous fingers against the holographic display, zooming in on the peculiar blank space that had haunted galactic cartographers for the past 3 centuries. The Vorthon diplomat's compound eyes studied the region where star charts simply ended. "Explain this to me again." He clicked to his aide, Yira, who nervously adjusted her ceremonial robes. "Sir, that sector belongs to the humans. Standard protocol dictates we mark it as territorial waters and redirect all traffic around it." Zektar's mandibles twitched in frustration. He had been appointed to establish first contact with this mysterious species that had somehow claimed a significant portion of the Outer Rim territories without anyone quite remembering how or when. The Galactic Council's records were strangely vague on the matter, but surely we have some intelligence on their capabilities, fleet strength, technological advancement. Yira's silence stretched uncomfortably long. Finally, she spoke in hushed tones. "There was the Crix incident, sir." Every spacefaring civilization knew about the Crix incident, though details were scarce. The Crix Empire had been the galaxy's dominant military force until they weren't. One day they controlled a quarter of known space. The next, their entire fleet had simply vanished. The only clue was a brief transmission from their final scout ship. "We found the humans. By the void we found then nothing. That was 200 years ago." Zektar studied his reflection in the darkened viewport of his flagship. His species, the Vorthons, prided themselves on logic and thorough preparation. They had negotiated with warrior races, machine consciousnesses, and energy beings. But humans remained an enigma wrapped in deliberately maintained ignorance. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the boundary." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a modest vessel that looked almost primitive compared to their sleek diplomatic cruiser. It was boxy, utilitarian, with what appeared to be hastily welded armor plating and mismatched weapon arrays. A figure appeared on screen, bipedal, wearing a simple gray uniform. The human looked remarkably ordinary, with short brown hair and tired eyes that seemed older than his apparently young face. "Unknown vessel, you are approaching restricted space," the human said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Perimeter. State your business." Zektar stepped forward, activating his translation implant. "Greetings, Captain. I am Ambassador Zektar of the Vorthon Diplomatic Corps. We seek an audience with human leadership to establish formal relations." Captain Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment, then seemed to be consulting with someone off-screen. When he turned back, his expression was carefully neutral. "Ambassador, I appreciate your diplomatic intentions, but I'm going to have to ask you to turn around. Human space is closed to foreign vessels. Surely you can make an exception for—" "No exceptions." The captain's voice carried a weight that made Zektar's exoskeleton tingle with unease. "Trust me, Ambassador, this is for everyone's benefit." Yira leaned over to whisper urgently in Zektar's auditory canal. "Sir, perhaps we should—" "Captain," Zektar interrupted, his diplomatic training overriding his aide's caution. "The Galactic Council has a right to know about your civilization. Your territorial claims lack proper documentation, and your isolationist stance violates several interstellar treaties." Something shifted in Captain Rodriguez's expression, a flicker of what might have been amusement or possibly pity. "You want to know about humans?" The captain leaned back in his chair. "Let me tell you a story, Ambassador. There was once a species called the Devourers. They consumed entire worlds, turning planets into gray dust to fuel their expansion. Unstoppable, they called themselves." The human paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "They made one mistake. They ate a human colony world called New Brisbane. Took them 3 days to strip it clean. 2 billion people gone." Rodriguez's voice remained conversational, almost casual. "That was 40 years ago." Zektar felt his breathing spiracles contract involuntarily. "What happened to them?" "Nothing dramatic. No grand fleet battles or genocidal campaigns." The captain shrugged. "Humans are practical. We simply made it so that every time the Devourers reproduced, every time they tried to feed, every biological process they depended on would fail randomly. We remade their genetic code into a lottery of death." The implications hit Zektar like a plasma blast. You engineered a species-wide extinction?" "We removed a cancer," Rodriguez corrected. The last devourer died 6 months ago in a lab where our scientists were trying to figure out how to undo what we'd done. Sadly, by then it was too late. The bridge of Zektar's ship had gone completely silent. Even the usually chattering Yira was frozen in place. Captain Rodriguez continued, his tone still maddeningly casual. The thing about humans, Ambassador, is that we don't fight wars the way other species expect. We don't build Death Stars or field massive fleets. We study, we learn, we adapt, and when something threatens us, he spread his hands. We become creative. The Kree, Zektar began, encountered a human research station that was conducting theoretical experiments on quantum consciousness. The Kriegs demanded surrender and opened fire when refused. Rodriguez shook his head sadly. Every Kriegs in the galaxy simultaneously forgot how to breathe. Tragic accident, really. Zektar's compound eyes darted to his tactical officer, who was slowly backing away from his station as if the control panel might contaminate him. So you see, Ambassador, Captain Rodriguez continued, when the galactic maps stop at human space, it's not because we're hiding something terrible. It's because we're protecting everyone else from accidentally finding out what happens when you corner a species that views the fundamental laws of physics as suggestions. The human captain leaned forward, and for the first time, Zektar saw something genuinely warm in his expression. Go home, Ambassador. File your report. Tell the Council that humanity respectfully declines formal relations at this time. And trust me when I say that everyone will sleep better for it. The transmission ended. 3 hours later, Zektar's flagship was beyond the boundary, heading back toward Vorthon space at maximum burn. In his quarters, the ambassador stared at the official report he would never file, then deleted it with a shaking appendage. Some blank spaces on maps, he reflected, were there for a reason, and everyone knew better than to question why.